Okay, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the guild. So I'm going to do something a smidge bit different today. I want to talk about my 3 favorite tabletop games right now. These are not going to be in any particular order because I can't really put them in an order. Now, most of you know I am mostly a solo player. I have my brother comes over and plays on occasion. You guys have seen him on stream, so my perspective is a little skewed. But I still think it's valid. I know people like to know things, so we're going to talk about it. All right, here we go. All right, so first off, we're going to talk about this guy right here. This is Star Wars Shatterpoint, obviously. This is by AMG. Now, if you cannot tell, I am a massive Star Wars fan. I am a 501st Din Djarin. So Star Wars is kind of my whole, I'm a big Star Wars person, all right? So it's no secret some of the games that'll be on this list, even given certain things going on. Shatterpoint is a game that I notoriously disliked when it came time to release. But with that being said, I found a really good deal on this on Marketplace. I figured I'd pick it up just to collect the minis. Got into playing it, and it was a standout, actually. It has become one of my favorite games. It uses a struggle tracker that kind of keeps your games pretty tight and competitive. Maybe they aren't actually competitive, but they seem competitive, and that's a good start. The flavor of the characters from Star Wars are represented pretty well in something that is a must for me, and that's unit cards. They represent how the character should feel pretty well. The missions are similar enough, but different enough that you could transition between them and not be crazy. I do kind of wish there was a little bit more play variety amongst the missions, but the core basis of what it is and the characters that are there are really enjoyable. The value of the starter box is also really, really good. You could just buy this and be completely content. But the big picture of what it costs to kind of play this and put together a team is really, really good. So I really, really like Shatterpoint. There's a lot of positives to it for me. It uses terrain and stuff really well, which is why it's on this list. Okay, so next we're going to talk about this little game right here. So this is the Dusty box of the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. Now this is made by Modiphius. It is the same people who make Fallout Wasteland Warfare, now Fallout Factions, and they make a game from this little known game called Skyrim. Now it is called Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. It is primarily based off of Skyrim. Basically everything that they do is Skyrim based. They have released a couple other things based on like the Elder Scrolls Online and what have you, but for the most part, it's a Skyrim game, okay? But what they have done, and this is for my fellow solo gamers out there, which there'll be a video on that soon, this has a full solo mode with AI and response matrices built in. So if you want to play by yourself, you can absolutely do that. And they have transferred kind of an Elder Scrolls experience to the tabletop really well. You've got traps, you've got armor, you've got weapons, you've got Dragonborn, you've got shouts, you've got dragons. They have translated a lot of this stuff really, really well. The game plays. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot going on. And I think that's to its favor because you could play through it pretty simply with a little bit of kinks. But the more you learn, the more you can add to things, the more in-depth it gets, the more varied your experience is going to be. And on top of that, they have narrative books with full campaigns. You could play out the entire Stormcloak Rebellion of Skyrim. There's acts. So the narrative potential of this is quite large. Now, I can't speak to the battle mode PvP perspective because I have not played that. I have only played this in a solo and recently co-op capacity, and I think it's fantastic. It's a little expensive, but Modiphius is, I don't know, relatively speaking, a smaller company, so most of their stuff is resin, so it gets a little pricey. But I think it's totally worth doing, and I have recently gotten back into it, and we've been having a ton of fun with that on the channel. So if you want to see more of that, which if you want to see any of this, you could check the channel out. There's quite a bit of content on all of these. But this is a lot of what we're doing lately. and we'll probably be doing a whole lot more of it because it's a whole lot of fun. They also have a Discord, and they're incredibly active in the Discord. The developers, there's a handful of them in there. If you have questions, you could ask them, and they're pretty straightforward and honest with you, which is pretty cool. So that is my second entry into this list. Now, before we get to the last official third on this list, I have two honorable mentions, and I'm going to mention the lesser of the two first, and that is Halo Flashpoint. Now, I've spoken pretty fondly of this, and I do still like it, but part of why it does not make it onto my list is because I feel like it's missing a little bit of sauce. It's just, it feels close. You could feel the potential of what it's supposed to be. I think the thing that gets me more than anything is the dice and the way that you resolve attacks. Now, something like Elder Scrolls, Warcrow, Legion to a lesser extent, but it's kind of obscured by them using custom dice. This is just numerical stuff. So like your variety of life, essentially going from rolling dice on your attack and your defense, doesn't really change, doesn't feel super special other than headshots. I feel like the I'm not sure how to put it into words, but the diversity between excitement when you're rolling these dice gets a little bit lost. Nothing like when you shoot a rocket launcher, it doesn't quite feel how you would expect it to. I'm not sure how they could vary that. Now, I will say I have not played this since getting the Wargames expansion. That might help significantly, being able to kind of build out your people and add that into your kit. But more so, it's mainly just the dice rolling that just gets it for me. It doesn't feel as exciting as rolling stuff with variety and chance and stuff that comes into it, like with a game like Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, for example. So it's close. It's very, very close. I still pre-order all their stuff because I really like it, and it's just not on the list. You know, that's the way it goes. And our other honorable mention is this guy right here. Now, this very well could have been on my list of 3, absolutely. There's not really anything I dislike about this game. It's just too early. It's that simple. It's very narrative. I like the dice rolling. It has everything I want in it. It's got custom dice. It's got switches, variety, all that kind of stuff. The units are cool. The sculpts are cool. Everything about it's great. My problem comes into play when you start talking about replayability right now. Again, I play a lot of solo, so I'm just playing both sides. Me and my brother have played it. But what you're looking at is the only narrative book right now. Winds from the North. It's a 3-mission narrative. And a lot of what this game is built on is having this little event tracker. But there's not really a whole lot of use for it because they don't really have any other narrative books to go along with it. So it just feels kind of flat. We're in limbo. It's been out for close to a year. Been like 7-8 months, I think. And still no other narrative stuff. It is on the roadmap, it is coming, but right now it's not there, and I don't really know if I feel like playing it because I've kind of played what there is to play for me so far. So if this is close, I think they're focusing on competitive, which for somebody like me, it's not great. I would prefer the narrative focus first because people like me can play that here without having a local store, whereas the competitive focus and the tournaments and stuff, that doesn't do me any good. I know that is important to a game's lifespan, but that's just my thoughts. No, Warcrow is still great though. If you want to play it, you should definitely check it out because it's pretty good. Okay, that brings us to our last entry, and this, it might be a little bit of a questionable entry, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And that, yeah, you probably guessed it, is Star Wars Legion. It makes up the majority of what you see on the shelf behind me. It was my first war game. It's what got me into the wargaming space. And I still do really love it. We don't play it a whole lot. It's a lot more of a time investment. And if you know anything about Star Wars Legion, you know it's in a bit of a weird spot right now. Hopefully we're on the up. We have hit the low and we are on our way back up with all the refresh and stuff coming, which is good. The game definitely has a future and they're committed to it based on the product they're releasing, which this is now the old logo. But with that being said, that has put a lot of the community in a weird space of like just limbo for like the last year. They basically vaulted all of the old mission decks. Now we still have those. We can still play them, but yeah, I kind of want to play like what is current. That's just a weird mental thing with me. And replaced it with a mission deck of like a handful of missions. So it's gotten really competitive or repetitive, sorry, because all the mission tokens are in designated spots. So it gets a little weird. But with that being said, again, they're very committed. There's a whole lot of new stuff coming. There's a whole lot of resculpts coming. There's new starter boxes coming. There's faction starter boxes coming. So if you're wanting to get into it and you've thought about it, just wait. Give it a little bit of time. If you could find some of the old stuff cheap, great, do that, because you could still use them. There's nothing saying that you can't still use them. So you could still pick up this old stuff. It's not that big of a deal. For me personally, when it comes to Legion, I'm just in a weird spot of being stuck. And part of that reason is because their units are getting a pretty good amount more expensive. And with everything going on in the world right now and tariff this and tariff that, this was before that kind of kicked off. These prices started going up. So I imagine it's only going to get worse. I was really looking forward to the ARF Troopers. I didn't pick them up because they were like $60. And I just can't justify $60 on one single unit. Kind of feels bad. And I've been loving a bunch of these other games that we've talked about so much that I haven't really felt the need to play this, but I can't not put this on my list as it is what got me into the space. It's what I love most, relatively speaking. Now, they, again, have unit cards. It's a bit of a must. It is an army game that you get to play all your favorite characters, except for Palpatine. Don't need to talk about it. And they represent the flavor of those characters pretty well through the command cards. So the play scheme is pretty good. Another kind of must for me is a alternating activation. All these games have that. You go, I go. It's just what I enjoy most. So I'm sure I missed a lot. That was just a kind of a quick summary of what I'm enjoying right now. This very well may change because that's how games work. But that's what I'm enjoying right now. And your list very well may be different. Please let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to know. But yeah, my three, Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, Star Wars Shatterpoint, and Star Wars Legion, as much of a weird place as it's in right now. But I guess that's going to be it for this one. If you have any thoughts or you want to let me know what your top 3 games are right now, please drop them in the comments down below. I would love to know. Let me know if you want any other types of these kind of list videos down below. I don't mind doing them. Doing this adding a little bit of extra to this one, hopefully, so it's a little bit more interesting for you guys to watch. Hopefully, let me know down below what you thought. But that is going to do it. I'm going to stop rambling. I appreciate all y'all being here. I will see you all in the next one. All right. Bye, guys.